Hello and welcome back to another Space Engineers showcase video. In today's video, we'll look at another bloody great cannon to blast our enemies with. This one is called the EAU 9301 Damascus Mass Driver Cannon, which is this bloody great thing right here. So this is a large block cannon that features gravity generators to fire a projectile at high speeds and long ranges, and hopefully it will deal a nice bit of damage to whatever it collides with. So instead of just going around the outside, first of all, we're going to skip a few steps, and we're going to go straight to firing this thing. So grabbing hold of my character, because we will need to set it up just a little bit, we need to come all the way inside the barrel, where we're going to find a handy little LCD screen and a bunch of buttons. We're going to load up the projectile and then fire it. So all the way over to here, this is what we get on this section. So we've got three LCD screens where one says reload, one says load, and then the other one says fire, with interior lights right below that showing you which stage you are currently on. What you're not going to do is press these buttons out of order, or you're going to mess this thing up and we'll need to spawn in a brand new one. So we're going to press the button with the light lit up. So we need to press number 1, and now we're going to load our projectile. So what we've got all the way around over on this side here is a piston that's going to move back a projector, and this is our projectile. We can see our welders now going to lift up and start to create our projectile. Then after a short delay, a grinder is going to kick in, and then the projectile will move all the way forwards, and we'll move on to the next step. So there we go, now the main body has been done. That's now going to lower down to finish off the bottom. And then our grinder is going to kick in and disconnect it. All the way over to there goes the grinder. And now our projectile is going to move all the way forwards, and we'll move on to the next step. We can now come across back over to where we just were, and we can see that the next light is now lit up. This one is for our loading sequence, where it's just going to move the projectile a little bit forwards, and then we're ready to fire it. So pressing number 2, here comes the projectile all the way forwards, and we're ready to fire it once it's locked in place. There we go. Now the fire button is going to light up in its lovely green glow. And now this is where the fun begins. So pressing F8, coming all the way over to here because it's going to put on a bit of a light show because it's got one hell of a lot of exhaust blocks that's going to be shooting out a lot of electrical effects. Come all the way around like so, that should be good enough. Coming back into this, pressing number 3, we get an alarm sound. Back into the free camera, we should see the electrical effects kick in any second now. There he goes. And then the projectile will launch out, there it goes. And we'll go towards the planet Earth, which is where I'm currently aiming, and we'll go check on it towards the end of the video. Just trying to find out where it was, there it is, and I'll try and match the speed of the camera so you can get a good look at that projectile. And there it is, just charging all the way along until it eventually crashes into something, and it should deal a nice lot of damage. But anyway, coming all the way back over to where the cannon was, it should be fairly easy to spot where it is on the moon. We'll then press F10, we'll take a look at the spawn menu. Then we'll have a quick look around the outside, a quick look at the interior, then we'll go and fire it one more time, we'll get some better angles, then test it out against the ship. So pressing F10 and finding it in the spawn menu, the Damascus is 6,354 large blocks, using the Heavy Industry, Decorative Block number 2, Warfare 2 and Wasteland DLC packs. We can see a nice lot of information about it on the Steam Workshop page, such as the control scheme, and of course what not to do, which is what I talked about, where you don't press a button if the light is not lit up. So give this thing a thumbs up, which I already have, come all the way around towards the very front, which is at the base, we'll have a quick look around the outside, and we'll go from there. So all the way over to here at the very front, what we've got is a set of stairs that come all the way up to allow you to eventually reach that panel where I'm currently standing. So these stairs will come all the way across over to here, we come past some lovely rounded blue blocks, over to this section where we do have a doorway to go inside, but we'll come back to that a bit later. We would come over to here, without then connect up to this section, allow you to walk all the way around, up these side steps, all the way around, and that would eventually link up to these, which is where I'm currently standing. If you were to continue around onto the side here, what we can see is even more great block work, and our lovely black clean blocks, our dirty blue rounded blocks. All the way over to here, we've got some cylindrical columns and a couple of conveyor tubes adding as a bit of decoration. We've got a lovely concrete middle block with some more lovely black steel blocks. That then come all the way around onto this section, we've got some more conveyor pipes in a lovely rusted colour. That's just going to come all the way down over to here, we've got a conveyor right at the back there just to make sure it's all lit up. If you were to take a better look all the way over onto this section, it's going to be roughly the same as what we just saw, but we do have a couple guns at the top here for a little bit of defense. Moving all the way around onto this section, we've got some more lovely concrete blocks, some more conveyor pipes, more cylindrical columns, and some more dirty blue blocks. Now just eventually go onto the inside because there is a few bits and bobs such as reactors. Make sure this thing is fully powered. There we go, we're now coming all the way back around to where we just were. Getting a better look all the way up to this section where our turrets are currently sitting. It's simply a assault cannon in a lovely little enclosure where we once again got some more rounded blocks for some decoration. If we were to come over to this section where our stairs move all the way up, this is part of our gun barrel where we can turn it all the way around on a rotor. If we was to shove the camera all the way through here, we should be able to make it out. We should be somewhere around here. There it is right there. So that's how we're going to spin this all the way around, and we can see a few bits and bobs on the inside of where we're going to go in just a minute. But yes, moving all the way around towards the back of this section, this is what we get. Got some nice use for our railings, acting as some more decoration. Some great use for our beam blocks just coming up on the sides, acting as a little supports. And onto this section, we then got our stairs that go all the way up to the top there, which is how we're going to get into our cockpit and press those buttons. So if I come all the way up to this section, put my light back on, we'll take a close look at the barrel. So all the way at the back here, we've got some great use of our letter blocks, spelling out the Damascus mass driver EAU9301. And this is sort of what we get. So all the way around at the very back here, we've got some window blocks. We can see some exhaust blocks. And if we were to follow the barrel all the way along here past this section, we see an antenna. All the way onto here, we can see where I'm standing. And then we got one hell of a lot of interior pillars, gravity generators, and exhaust blocks. They'll move all the way along towards the very front here. And this is how our cannon is going to function. And there we go. If we were to move along the inside, there's all the exhaust blocks. And we see how it's all been set up. And all the way over to here at the very back, as you saw when I made the projectile, this is how we're going to weld it all up. So here's our loader, that'll move all the way back to here, get into position, then we'll weld up this projectile. There's our welders that move up and down, and all the way onto this section, there is our grinder to disconnect it, and then there is all our time blocks to make it all function. There we go, all the way around and looking up. At the bottom here, there we go. They were to come all the way up and above and look at the top of it, not really going to be too different than looking at it on the side. There's all the gravity generators, all the interior pillars, and there we go. And that is pretty much it for the outside of the Damascus mass driver cannon, and it looks bloody fantastic with how it's all been set up. Absolutely incredible to look at, and even more so to fire it. So now I just grab hold of my character, we can plop him down onto the ground here. There we go. Now fall all the way down to the bottom and then head on inside. Walking all the way around to here, down to here, and finding that door we saw earlier, which is going to be right over here, opening it up, coming on the inside. This is what we got on the inside. So we've got a bunch of reactors on the inside here, we've got a weapon controller block, and that is pretty much it. So you're not really going to be playing around inside here, you're generally going to be sticking to the top of the turret where you can properly control it. Just walking all the way around to here, we see one hell of a lot of conveyor pipes, one hell of a lot of our railings to make sure you don't fall off, because there is no flooring right here, so make sure you clip it in properly, or you're going to have a bit of a gap. Here is our warfare reactors, there's our custom weapon controller, which is currently not set up. And walking all the way around the room, there we go. We can see a couple of wheels there acting as a bit more decoration, which is on the top side of our turret that they'll spin all the way around. Can get a better look all the way up to here. There we go, so that's our rotor for how it's all going to spin around. And I think now we can come all the way back up to the top and we'll go and fire it one more time. All the way down to here and around. We then got our button panels of how we're going to fire this thing up. And then we've got a little seat where we can control all the stuff right there and control where the turret is currently looking. So we've got number 3 for our camera to view at the Earth. There we go. We've got 1 and 2, which is how we're going to turn the turret all the way around. It's going to be very, very slow. Then we can change the direction. There we go. Just bring that to a stop. Number 4 and number 5 is how we're going to move it up and down on a hinge. So there we go with that. 7, 8 and 9 for the same controls we see right down there, which are going to be to weld it up, load it up, and then fire it. So we'll come all the way back around to here because it should start to weld it all the way up, and then we'll fire it one more time. That's now being welded up. That should now drop down once again. There we go. Now it'll move all the way forwards, and we'll fire it one more time. So now it's moving forwards. We now press number 8, which will move it into place. We should see it come past. There it is. Now that's in position, we can now zoom in like so, we can press number 9, that's going to fire it, and it's just about going to miss the Earth, might go all the way around it, you never know. But there goes the alarm sound, there goes all the electrical effects, and out goes the projectile, and there it goes all the way forwards, and there we go. So now what I'll do is just load this up once again. Now it's time to spawn in the ship right in front of it, and we'll see what kind of damage it can deal. There's not too much else to talk about, it's very self-explanatory with how it's all been set up, and I generally recommend just downloading it and playing around with it yourself. You will get a lot of enjoyment out of this. And here we go, I've now spawned in the Albatross. It's sitting right in front of the gun barrel, so we'll see just what kind of damage we can deal with that projectile. And here we go. So now the alarm sound is going to go, we're going to get our electrical effects, and we should get a nice big chunky bit of damage into that ship. And here it comes, all the way forwards. And there we go, it didn't really do too much damage. I was expecting it to do a lot more. I was more thinking about the piston jolt drive, which just teared away all the blocks on this ship. But I guess if you were to put actual stuff in the middle of the projectile, it would deal a lot more damage. And that's what we're going to do once it's all welded up. We're going to fire it one more time, fill it up with warheads, and that'll be that. So unfortunately the cannon has simply stopped working. I tried a new blueprint, I tried reloading the game, it just doesn't want to weld up its projectile to fire it at the poor old Albatross. So I have to leave it there for today. But if you do wish to download it and play around with it yourself, there'll be a link to it in the description below. Highly recommend you do because it is a fantastic looking cannon and it's got some great functionality with it, especially if you're looking for something that can long range sniper targets on a different planet. But anyway, thank you all for watching and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.